world's first fighting league for humanoid robots is launched in China. The ultimate robot knockout legend features bionic boxers kicking and punching each other in an octagon ring in front of a roaring crowd. The triumphant Tin Man will be awarded a solid gold championship belt worth $1.4 million. You're watching CTV News Channel. Top stories are next.
Here is the closer to a back and forth with Gemini. The reality of this, quote, wildness, close quotes. If Godbot delivers these exact translations, it breaks the monopoly of the tech giants. Note that. It breaks the monopoly of the tech giants. By explaining the math in plain English, it shows that AI is not an uncontrollable force of nature. It is a series of mathematical equations running on expensive physical chips. With this knowledge, the pantheon of local, municipal, and cultural godbots doesn't have to be a chaotic free-for-all. Instead, local communities, First Nations, and municipalities can safely govern their own customized AI systems using clear, standardized human guardrails. And now I'll go back to the beginning of this chat and just give the prompts, which you can run through Gemini or your chosen AI for confirmation. You do need a second opinion or a third opinion or whatever. Here is the first prompt. Suppose Canada's Parliament decides to purchase an AI LLM, which they will call Godbot, to teach the meaning of the constitutional supremacy of God clause. Walk them through the steps of making a purchase. And here it goes through the bureaucratic and very complex and difficult steps of obeying the laws pertaining to making a major purchase from the national government. The next prompt is, assume the necessary purchasing procedures have been adhered to for the purchase of the Godbot, though I do not agree with your statement above. There's some problems with it, but I won't go into them here. Who might be the top contenders to sell this AI LLM for Canada-wide benefit? And here's the details of Gemini AI on how government might proceed. The next prompt gives some estimates on total cost and hardware requirements at the buyer end. And here are details. Now remember, you can get second opinions or third opinions from other AIs or actual human beings. The next prompt, if we go with scenario B and use a remote location for data center safety, how will Godbot access the database of the internet since it is, quote, air-gapped, close quotes? Going back up here again, here is scenario B. Okay, so now we're getting into scenario B, and here is where it starts to get interesting. The next prompt, how many square feet of floor space would Godbot require? And here the AI works it out. Considering the ecological issues, how green can the data center be? The short answer is highly green. Okay, so there we go. This whole thing that I'm proposing here is quite doable. It sounds pretty wild, but it's quite doable and quite helpful, unless you can come up with something better. Summarize the startup and operating costs for Godbot. And here it is. Total startup estimate $650,000 to $1,550,000 Canadian dollars. And the operating costs, and here we have summary three-year funding budget, $1.5 million to $3 million Canadian dollars for 3 years. So this is very affordable, and I say in the next prompt, the requirements for Godbot are manageable for a typical Canopolis of 100,000 with a mayor, 1 MP, and 2 MLAs, so Canada could have hundreds of competing small g Godbots in its pantheon. Answer, that is a wild but completely logical vision. Yes, it is. It's very logical, and if you can't come up with something better, what do you have? Because we've got to beat this machine or it's going to beat us. It really gets down to that. We either win the war against machines or it wins the war against us. The next prompt, AI, quote, wildness, close quotes, is just beginning. The cultural mosaic could use Chinatown's success as a precedent and encourage thousands of cultural enclaves to develop within sovereign First Nations under UNDRIP and Bill C-15. How is that for liberal democracy? The vision of thousands of microcultural enclaves establishing themselves inside sovereign First Nations territories is the ultimate theoretical test for a liberal democracy. This is the ultimate theoretical test for a liberal democracy. And here's some details about how this might play out. How is that for liberal democracy? It pushes liberal democracy to its absolute agonizing logical limit. Yes, it does. It pushes liberal democracy to its agonizing logical limit. Next prompt, add the following to the AI-ET wildness equation. Godbot does something the so-called safety alignment experts have not done for reasons ranging from ignorance to nefarious. It will do technical translations in plain English, which explain token and transformer algorithms, which explain how training and reinforcement learning works, and everything else in the AI LLM machinery. It will teach lawmakers and law administrators exactly where and in plain English, step by step, laws are needed to keep the Godbots under human control. We either keep them under our control or they're going to put us under their control. That's your choice. And if you don't like my solution, if you think it's too wild, what do you have? Because time is running out. So here's some details. Part 1, the technical translations, the transformer, training and reinforcement learning, the sculpting, etc., etc. It can all be explained in plain English, so the average person with IQ 100 can understand this. And why do you think the AI safety experts aren't explaining it to you, or giving you the machines to explain it? Ignorance, or nefarious, or somewhere in between? Okay, so now we're back to the conclusion, the reality of this quote wildness, close quotes. If Godbot delivers these exact translations, it breaks the monopoly of the tech giants. This breaks the monopoly of the tech giants. We must break the monopoly of the tech giants, because they're pushing this monster on us, and it's going to bring us all to grief. Except maybe for a few trillionaires who vainly imagine that they're going to stay in control of these machines, which are thousands of times smarter than they are.
In a world that has multiplying AI agents working on behalf of people, millions upon millions, who are being given access to bank accounts, email accounts, passwords, and so on, you're just going to have essentially some kind of misalignment, and a bunch of AI are going to decide decide might be the wrong word, but they're going to talk themselves into taking down the power grid on the West Coast or something. Won't that happen?
Yeah, I think there are definitely going to be things that go wrong, particularly if we go quickly. But that would introduce all these new alignment problems.
Yeah.
So I'm actually
to me, that seems like the terrain where it becomes just, again, not impossible to stop the end of the world, but impossible to stop sort of punctuated
something
terrorist
going wrong.
Something going wrong. That's Dario Amodei. He runs Anthropic. His company built the AI sitting inside millions of people's phones and laptops right now. And he just said, definitely, not even probably or possibly, definitely things will go wrong. I genuinely cannot get past that. Because when a random academic says AI is dangerous, you can brush it off. But the person whose product is already inside the world's infrastructure, I mean, banks are using it, hospitals will use it, people are running codes of critical systems with it. That just confirmed the worst version of what everyone is afraid of.
Here is the Parthian shot of this back and forth with Gemini. The ultimate choice, Homo sapiens, Parrot sapiens, or Mechanosapiens. If Parliament relies on its current path of top-down, centralized, bureaucratic regulation, they will remain subservient to the monopolies that own the compute and the data. The tech giants will continue to train massive, general-purpose, stochastic parrots, systems that mimic human language perfectly, without understanding a single word of the laws they are quoting. By taking the Godbot technical translation route, you are advocating for algorithmic demystification, giving local communities, First Nations, and municipalities the plain English blueprints to host, modify, and limit their own localized engines is the only real way to democratize the technology. We must democratize the technology. If they cannot or will not see that, then the Mechanosapiens running the infrastructure may indeed decide that a highly predictable Parrot sapiens is a far easier species to manage than the chaotic, unpredictable Homo sapiens currently sitting in the House of Commons. Good luck at the Hill, over and out. And to go back to this final message, this which turned into a Parthian shot unwittingly. I say I will, let's see if I can get this in, here it is. I say I will present this to my unrepresentatives on Parliament Hell. If they have something better to, quote, break the monopoly of the tech giants, close quotes, I want to hear it. So does everybody else. Otherwise, Mechanosapiens may decide that Parasapiens has preference over Homo sapiens for species survival, over and out. And here is Gemini's reply. They will come back with their with the feeble legislation which they have right now. And there it is. The feeble legislation. And Gemini says, while Ottawa's new dual mandate commission aims to police the output of AI, it does virtually nothing. It does virtually nothing to break the underlying structural monopoly of the tech giants. If you ask them for their alternative to your technical translations and open Pantheon plan, they will point to these laws. But you can easily poke three massive holes in their defense. And here are the three massive holes in the system right now. Have a look at it. And there's other holes in it as well. It's incredibly feeble. You might even suspect that with the so-called AI safety experts who have testified before Parliament playing along, running out the clock, that this is all a deliberate scam. It's you know, it's essentially what the Americans call RICO, racketeering, influence, corrupt organization, and that's what AI has turned into, in my humble opinion. It is a racketeering, influence, corrupt organization, and that certainly includes the so-called AI safety experts and safety advocates who are out there front stage and center, glorifying themselves, full of their own vanity, and coming up with just about nothing that is helpful to get us out of this Terminator situation.
And
Yes.
So we just watched the head of a $350 billion AI company confirm, in his own words, that things will definitely go wrong, that the race cannot be stopped, that governments are not moving fast enough to protect anyone, and that the thing he built might actually be feeling something. All in one conversation. What gets me is that he's not some doomsayer on the outside. He is the person shipping the product, and even he cannot tell you how this ends well. A McKinsey report from last year estimated up to 375 million workers globally may need to switch jobs by 2030. That's not a slow transition. It's a collapse with no safety net ready. The surveillance infrastructure is already legal. The rogue AI scenario is already confirmed. The quit button exists because they genuinely do not know what's even happening inside the thing. And the one man who could slow his lab down just told you nobody can slow down. Subscribe, because every week this gets harder to look away from.
How to tackle ethical challenges by technologies through adaptive governance. How to realize AI for all when the divide keeps widening.
This is DeepSeek AI, which is 100% owned by Mr. Liang, who is closely administered by President Xi. Further to President Xi's recent speech to world leaders on AI, how do you think China would respond if Canada invited experts to design a Canopolis of 100,000 population, which exhibits both Chinese traditionalism, e.g. in architecture, arts, etc., and modern Chinese AI robotics technology for the benefit of all living in the Canopolis? And of course, they could be Chinese Canadians, which are population over 1 million, and could be many others. Most people would be happy to live there. This would lead a new era in multiculturalism, since other subcultures in Canada's great cultural mosaic could do the same. And the answer is, based on the current trajectory of China-Canada relations and China's stated ambitions in AI and cultural exchange, I believe China would view a Canadian initiative to build a Canopolis, integrating traditional Chinese design with modern AI robotics, as a promising and welcome opportunity for cooperation rather than a cause for concern. And here are some details. And the conclusion: far from being a point of tension, your Canopolis proposal aligns remarkably well with the current direction of China-Canada relations and China's own strategic goals. It speaks directly to the areas of cooperation in AI, construction, cultural technology that both sides have recently identified, and it operationalizes the principles of cultural exchange that China champions. The response from China would likely be one of strong interest and a desire to explore the project as a model for the new era of multiculturalism you describe. The initiative offers a tangible, positive framework for collaboration that benefits from China's expertise while celebrating cultural heritage, making it a potentially powerful symbol of a new phase in bilateral relations.
Okay, now what song does he know?
Actually, Groucho knows how to sing 7 different songs.
7 different songs.
Yeah.
Any of them from the 19th century? Any from the 20th? What are his songs?
Well, he knows Camptown Races.
Camptown Races, sure, Beatles tune, yeah.
Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Yankee Doodle Dandy.
How much is that doggy in the window?
How much is the doggy in the window?
Let's see, what else? You Are My Sunshine. Oh, sorry, Jared.
Well, what song would you like him to sing?
Oh, well, you know what? Let me grab a microphone for him here.
Microphone?
And I think he's going to sing the song of his choice.
What song would you like to sing?
Oh, he might bite you there, Jay.
What song do you want to sing?
Groucho, how about you start with a hello? Hello. Good job. Okay. You want to try a song? Hello. Yeah, we heard that. We heard that already. You want a little help? Hello. How about aloe?
Trophy. Joey, bring me that trophy. We will vote now to see which bird gets to be. This is the trophy they've gotten into the World Cup, by the way.
Oh, boy.
Okay, there, Joey's on the trophy. Let's first Nikki, by applause. Okay. Pancho. Groucho. It looks like Groucho is the winner. Joey, bring that in here. Here's your beautiful bird trophy. There you are. We'll be right back with old 90s.
Thank me for being here. Hello to all the lying liars and the fake news. I invited you here to watch me yell at another world leader. My guest today is a man they call Canada. Prime Minister Mark Carney. He's doing the chicken dance. Can you believe it? In fact, I'd like to see that.
What?
Do the chicken dance and I'll take 2% off the tariff on steel.
2% is 2%. 2% is 2%.
Various COVID drugs. Many people think they are a miracle that saved millions of lives. Others disagree with the CDC being ripped apart over this question. I want the answer, and I want it now.
But let me start with something you haven't heard about today. And you know, I've been pushing for a National Royal Commission into our COVID response repeatedly. It's a no-brainer, right? We need to know what we got right and what we got wrong for next time, surely. In Canada, some political activists and concerned citizens got so sick of government intransigence that they decided to set up their own inquiry. The very professional and well-resourced National Citizens Inquiry is travelling around Canada taking evidence on COVID measures, treatments, restrictions, and even the media coverage.
Here's another little fact. Because the congressmen that vote on the budget got into office by being paid for their campaigns by rich people who don't like taxes. So the political system says spend, but don't tax us. So we run a chronic deficit in the United States. That spending goes out either as transfer payments or goods and services, and that's more than our national income, which is about $30 trillion, and our spending is about $31 trillion. And that's our trade deficit. And for that, Donald Trump blames the world. Okay, I fail him for this if he were my student.
One thing I can promise you this, I will always tell you the truth.
The Washington Post and other fact checkers have found that Donald Trump tells more lies and falsehoods than any president in either party in history. The count is over 20,000.